Hello, everybody, and no, you are not hearing this wrong. The theme song will be played a little later on. This is the beginning of a special project that I wanted to do for the podcast, where I got a chance to interview you guys, the wrestling fans, and we had a person stand right up, raise his arm, volunteer himself to be numero uno. So we're gonna welcome Brian in. How you been?
I'm doing very well. Just moseying along.
I guess we have to be at this point in time.
Yeah.
So for those that aren't listening, what I'm doing is over the next several weeks and probably months until quote unquote things get back to normal, I'm gonna be interviewing you guys, the wrestling fans, and just have sort of like a life story conversation kind of thing. Try to make it fun during a not so fun time, as we're all stuck inside. But
Yep.
enough about the depressing part. Let's get to the fun
Right.
part. Let's get to Brian here. And the first question, obviously, is where did it begin? Where did your love for wrestling begin?
Well, it's there's a couple spots I can point out. I mean, it was I watched the 1992 Royal Rumble with a friend of mine named Kevin, and I won't say his last name because
right. Well, I know who you mean. So
yeah, and I really got hooked on that. That was probably my favorite Royal Rumble. And my dad had also picked up a video of VHS people from Errol's, which doesn't exist anymore. And it was WrestleMania 2.
Okay.
And then when I was younger, I watched WWF Superstars. And on Saturday afternoon.
At 12 o'clock.
Yep. 12 o'clock after homework or Boy Scouts or whatnot.
Or both.
Yeah. And I got into that very tremendously. Then I had a period where I was out of it, like 1994 to 98. And right now I'm kind of on and off.
Right.
So.
All right. Now, was there any family members when you were younger that watched wrestling before you did and maybe got you into it as well, or was it just strictly you?
I think it was strictly me. I mean, my dad, I've talked with him older, years later. He had talked about wrestling. He used to watch Haystacks Calhoun. I think that was when he was living in the DC area as a kid.
Yeah.
Around the Silver Spring area. But most of it was just me.
Okay.
I just basically discovered other promotions like ECW. Well, WCW is also there too.
Yeah.
So I kind of watched that for a bit, but then I kind of lost interest in the 94, 98 period. And then I discovered Ring of Honor, New Japan, and AEW a little bit. But I don't have cable, so it's
right.
I mostly just read up what's going on.
Yeah. Now I'm just joking here. For those that don't want to see Haystacks Calhoun, just go look him up on YouTube and you'll see the wonder of Haystacks. Okay, now obviously you were a fan when you were younger. Were you one of those fans that was just proud and just said it out loud, hey, I'm a wrestling fan, or were you one of those like closeted fans that didn't
I would say I'm kind of a bit of both. I'm in the middle. When I was younger, yes. And then as I was in college, it was kind of a mixed bag. When I was on a date with some people, I did mention it, and maybe that
Turned them off, turned them away.
Yeah. So I didn't mention it until
Much later.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Oh, go ahead.
okay, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna actually bring up because I've known you for a while and you've been in relationships, and I'm sure that there are people that listen to this that either are in a relationship or have been in a relationship. Um, how difficult can it be at times to be a fan while in a relationship and try to even out between being with your, significant other and also watching wrestling?
Well, I think I've maintained a good balance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I can't watch it, I just read up on what's happened.
Right.
And I have a wonderful girlfriend who I've taken to an independent show, MCW over in Culpeper, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually enjoyed it.
Ah, there you go.
And she also watched some of the wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the with today's streaming and such, and then all that other stuff, there's so much to watch, and everything gets kind of pushed aside.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I guess I'm gonna say this take this as advice to everyone that's listening. If you split the time evenly, it can work out a lot better.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's pretty good. Do you remember your first show that you ever went to? Your first wrestling show you ever went to?
I'm going really back to, I was, I guess, 8 or 9 years old. My dad and I went with a friend of mine and his dad to the U.S. Air Arena over in Landover.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a live show. It was Jake the Snake Roberts versus Macho Man Randy Savage in a steel cage match. Also featured Legion of Doom, Road Warriors,
right,
against Natural Disasters, and I think Bret Hart against the Mountie.
Okay, I'm actually looking this up to see what the show, because it sounds like it might have been in the fall or winterish. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, I actually have the card in front of me.
Right.
February 23rd, 1992.
Yeah, that's it.
6,039 was the attendance, so that's a good crowd.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm just gonna read this one. This is a very interesting card. Tatanka defeated Bob Bradley. Shawn Michaels defeated Jim Powers.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
IRS beat Virgil.
Poor Virgil.
I know. Owen Hart and Coco Beware beat the Beverly Brothers. I'm surprised.
I remember that.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Really.
That was the first time they teamed up as High Energy.
Wow. Let's see. Tito Santana beat Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Bret Hart defeated the Mountie.
Actually, it wasn't. The Natural Disasters didn't take on the Road Warriors. They took on Sergeant Slaughter and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Good job.
I just remembered.
Yeah.
Because I know there was a 2x4 used.
There you go. Disasters beat Duggan and Slaughter by DQ, and Randy Savage defeated Jake Roberts in a steel cage match.
Yep.
That was the card, and the history of WWE.com, once again, there to make the save.
Thank God.
So now, we've gone through this. You've had your ups and downs with wrestling, and obviously you and I, we've done conventions a few times for MCW, and
Yes.
as a fan, um, how do you see the future going in a few years? Because right now, I mean, yeah, the pandemic's taken some promotions, actually all promotions really, unless you're WWE or AEW, and had them closed for now. Where do you see the future in a few years? Do we see some of these come back up? Do we see some of them staying permanently closed?
Well, let's see. I think WWE is still going to be around, but I think if they're going the way they are right now, I think there's going to be a lot of internal stuff. They're going to try to be like they're going to try to be like the number one wrestling in the universe or whatnot. But I think at some point they're going to have to retool themselves. And unless, somehow Vince goes away or dies of natural causes, or is forced out, which I don't see, because nobody's really that. I don't think anyone has the guts to basically tell him to leave or step down. So I don't see them going like WCW or AEW, but I think they're going to be really hurting if they don't make any changes.
Okay.
AEW, for me, AEW is it's too early since they've only been around for a year.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of potential to be a competitor. Let's see, New Japan. Oh, they're still going to be around.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor and Impact. Well, I know Impact's been doing well from what I've heard from Fro. So there's possibility they're going to be a little better.
Yeah.
ROH, I've lost touch with ROH in a way. I think they could come back, but they may have to change things around on their end too.
Yeah.
And there's another one like Major League Wrestling.
Yeah.
I think that can come back, but I don't really know too much about them to say.
Well, I know from getting like emails from them with news stuff, which I put on the website, that they've been making a lot of TV deals worldwide, like in different countries.
Oh.
I think they might be going. I think they're going to be around for a while, in a good way. So, okay, now, right now, where do you think? Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'm going to try to phrase this the right way.
Sure, go ahead.
With this pandemic going on, who do you think is the biggest casualty right now as far as a wrestling business goes? Who do you think is the biggest casualty? Is it the wrestlers themselves? Is it the promotions? Is it the fans? There are many choices that you could go with this.
I don't know if this could sound like a wishy-washy answer, but I think all the above.
Okay.
Well, let me explain.
Okay,
the promotion, I know, like if you take WWE, they've released a lot of people, and those people can go other places. But right now, with everything down, there's no chance of that.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of. Well, actually, let me rephrase my answer. Now I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I think the promotions and the wrestlers, the fans come and go. So that's kind of what's the word? Sort of a somewhat factor, but not like I think just the promotions, because a lot of them, they're not in front of fans, and
Mhm.
a lot of if you're WWE, that's got uh, like backdoor pockets and such, and backdoor connections. Then you're not really doing anything. But even WWE, them being open and them that's another whole story.
Right.
I want to. I'm just saying that. I'm just thinking that with what they're doing, they're gonna pretty much hurt themselves more than be more beneficial.
Mhm.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. That's a good answer. Um. All right. Well, we have a little bit of time left, so what we're gonna do, Brian, is
Mm-hmm.
because you are the first person to do this, we are going to have an end segment, which is called the final fall.
That's
I'm
awesome.
going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
There are no right or wrong answers. It is just the first thing that you can think of. All right.
Okay.
I don't think they're that difficult. It just depends on how everyone takes it, I guess would be the best way to put it. So, are you ready for the final fall?
Yes.
All right, let's get into it. Question 1. If you could delete one match from the history of wrestling, what match would it be?
Sting versus Jeff Hardy, Impact.
Ooh, good choice. All right. Any particular reason?
Well, I never saw it. I read about what happened, and Jeff Hardy should not have performed when he was intoxicated.
Okay.
Although that hasn't stopped other wrestlers, but that's a whole.
That's very true. All right. Question 2. If you could bring back one wrestling promotion that is no longer running, which one would it be?
ECW, ECW, ECW.
There you go. That's pretty easy answer there.
Yep.
And finally, and I don't want to sound morbid about this, but maybe it will. When you die and you meet a wrestling god, what would you like his first words to be to you?
Welcome to the squared circle in the sky, man. You've earned it.
Very good. Okay, well, I know you personally, you don't have any social media, like Twitter or Instagram or
No.
anything.
Well, I am on Instagram, but
It's a private one.
well, roughly, yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Well, I will be doing some wrestling shows for my fantasy wrestling league, Hybrid Classic Wrestling, on YouTube. There's no music. When you record on YouTube, they don't have music
Mm-hmm.
due to whole copyright issues. But I managed. The show is called Graduation Day, and some of the stars it's a mix of fictional characters based on people, close people I know, and you're aware of that.
Yes.
And some of the current and some legendary wrestlers. Like, I'll give some examples of the fictional characters since everyone probably knows the real ones. I've got the Video Game Express, the Suave the Ladies Man, the Body Doubles, and one of the stable groups known as the Circle.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be I'll be trying to post all the matches on YouTube, and some will be put onto Facebook at some point this month.
All right. Very good. Brian, thank you for being the first of hopefully many fans that will take their time out of their life, out of their schedule to do this, and hopefully we'll get you on again in the near future, maybe for a whole episode.
Yeah, I would love that, man.
All right. Well, if you guys want to participate in being a part of a future interview, you can. There's many ways you can contact us. You could do Twitter at Wrestling Show 11, Instagram at Wrestling Show, or you can do what Brian did, put a message in the Facebook group saying, I would like to join this interview special, and I'll set everything up. So, with that said, again, thank you, Brian, for joining me here this week.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me, man.
Of course. And I'll be back in a moment with Fro once you hear our theme song. And welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. I am Bill, as joined by Fro always. How you doing, Fro?
Well, not always, but most of the time I'm here.
Most occasions. How about that?
Yes, yeah.
Want to thank Brian again for doing the first interview in our series of fan discussion. So hopefully you guys like that. This week on the show, going to predict the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. Plus, we're going to give our rankings of our 5 favorite storylines of all time. So, be fun to look at that. And we'll get into the Masked Singer as well.
You mean the boo? Boo! Yeah. Let's talk about it right away.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So
let's get it out of the way.
So for the second week in a row, the wrong person went out.
And this wasn't, oh, this is a little wrong. This was, holy shit, are they crazy wrong?
This is starting to really become rigged, I think, a little
bit. A little?
I know.
I mean, this proves that this show is fake as fuck. Because that she went out is, for me, ridiculous!
Okay, well, let's take a look at each of the performances, and then we'll figure out who we think should have gone out.
Bow Wow! It's that easy. Bow Wow should be out. He should be out like 3 episodes ago.
Oh, yeah,
this is getting to irritate me. Like, why are they keeping Bow Wow? Like, he can't even sing.
All right, so Frog sang "Bust a Move" by Young MC. Kitty sang "Back to Black" by Amy Winehouse.
And that was so beautiful.
It was really well done.
It was so touching.
Rhino sang "You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin' by the Righteous Brothers.
Aww.
Night Angel sang "Last Dance" by Donna Summer. And Turtle sang "Fix You" by Coldplay.
I also like that one.
I think, looking back at it, if I had to pick one to go out, I would have gone Rhino. Just from the performance.
Yeah, this week I would, yeah.
Because when I watched all 5,
yeah,
Frog I thought had a good performance. Kitty I thought had a great performance. Night Angel was good. Turtle was like the second best performance, maybe the best performance of the week. Rhino, this again is the occasion of if you pick the wrong song, it could cost you. And I feel he picked the wrong song and it almost cost him. I really do. Because the way if you listen to how he starts the song, he doesn't really pick it up till like halfway into the performance. Because like his way is like, you know, and he doesn't really pick it up till halfway. So I think Rhino should have gone out this week. And it was Kitty who ended up being eliminated shockingly, because I had her winning it. And none of us were even close, as it was Jackie Avanjo. Who?
Yeah. I can tell you who it is because I know her from American Talent. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, who? It's like, oh, she's a good singer. Who the hell are you?
It's a C celeb.
That was my pick. Now it's gone. I guess whoever I pick next is going to be eliminated. So I may as well just make my pick, and I'm just going to say Rhino's going to win it just based on sympathy. So
yeah,
I'm going to give it to Rhino
right
on the
now.
sympathy factor.
It is kind of like I don't get it. I think it's stupid, and right now I'm fed up with it. I'm at the point where they have eliminated all the best singers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the reason for watching this? Like the two first seasons, I think legitimate. I can stand behind every winner of the two last seasons.
Right.
But now, whoever wins, I don't think they are world winner.
Not even the turtle.
Yeah, if the turtle wins, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think McCarthy will win.
Who do you think will win it?
I have a strange feeling they will pick Night Angel or Cathy Burris. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. So, next week is the semifinals. And then, on May 19th, they're doing a special Road to the Finals episode. So, we could skip that episode. And then the finale, the season finale, is May 20th. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a 2-hour episode. Because they're going to... Well, I don't know. If they're doing the Road to the Finals Tuesday, maybe the finale is only 1 hour.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
I'm not super excited for this as I was in the two first season, but I think that's mainly because I think, like I said, I think they have eliminated all the amazing singers. Yeah. Especially in the last like 3 or 4 shows. Mm-hmm. It's just been extremely weird, kind of. It's a popularity contest. I'm not watching this because of a popularity contest. Exactly. I'm watching this as a who can sing. Mm-hmm. And that's also why I was kind of angry that Kyle Gobrowski was in the final. Like he stole one of the places of someone that was good at singing. Like he could dance moves and things like that. Like, but this is sold to us as a singing show. So yeah, I'm more engaged with this than I've been in wrestling this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I could tell.
Because wrestling this week has been kind of.
It's been a quiet week, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
With wrestling, but we do have some news to bring up. This first one that I want to bring up, and then we're gonna get this out of the way because Fro doesn't really do video games. A friend of mine, Ed, who has been a guest on our show, sent me this. There is a video game, an app game called The King of Fighters All-Star.
Okay.
And they are going to have downloadable WWE characters in the game.
Without license?
No, I think it is with license.
Okay.
The 4 that I see in the picture Of course, there obviously could be more than the 4 that I'm seeing. The Rock, The Undertaker, John Cena, and Seth Rollins.
Okay.
That's okay. I could live with that. Would I get it? No, I wouldn't.
How much is it?
Oh, I don't know. Let me
Is it
check.
is it free? Is it for Android?
It is for the Android and the iPhone.
Oh.
Alright, so I'm gonna check on my iPhone, see.
While you do that, I can tell you that they are skipping WWE game this year. I'm very happy to hear that. So no new WWE game this year.
Looks
No.
like it's a free game.
Okay. Maybe we should give it a try then.
Nah, I don't know. I'm not really into these kind of games. I mean, I do have some games, but I'm not into.
Wrestling games, yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week. There was the announcement made of no WWE 2K21 this year, probably for good reason. From all the bad stuff I'd heard last year, so.
Well, they announced that there will be no new game this year, actually.
But they are coming out with another game,
Right.
Battlegrounds, which I saw the trailer for, and that looks fun, actually.
Yeah. It looks like old school.
And then a promotion that I've mentioned on this show a few times, MCW here in Maryland. They are doing something really cool because of the panic, and we can't go to any indie events. They're doing Unite with the Stars, where once they announce the prices, you can have stuff autographed, signed by wrestlers. You can have a personal video message, autographed 8x10s, personal memorabilia items signed via mail, and much more. And the list that I'm looking at is a really good list here. Bret Hart, Kurt Angle, Melina, Ricky Steamboat, Coco Beware, Greg Valentine, Barry Windham, Paul Ellering, Demolition, The Godfather, J.J. Dillon, Animal, Mike Rotundo, IRS, The Rock and Roll Express, Rosa Mendez, Teddy Long, Tito Santana, Tully Blanchard, Sonny, and Raven are just some of the many wrestlers that you can get autographs from.
Raven is definitely someone I would love a autograph from.
So when we get more information, we will give it to you guys. We'll tell you all about the prices. Okay.
Who would you get out of those, by the way? I said Raven.
I probably would go for Kurt Angle.
Yeah. You're a Kurt Angle fan. I'm not saying he's bad.
No,
I'm just
I understand. Okay, I want to combine these two stories into one.
Okay.
Because I did something really fun last night, which I recommend our listeners try next week. Because last night, highspots.com, which is a great wrestling store, you get a lot of great DVDs, figures, all that. They had last night, it was sort of like QVC and the Home Shopping Network put together for wrestling fans. And they were putting out these different items, and you could buy them, like, during the airing.
Okay.
And it would be like these different items. Like, they had drawings, autographed pictures, DVDs, Funko Pops, unusual items. And it was really, really cool. The interaction was fantastic. I ended up getting, let me tell you what I got. I got 10 wrestling DVDs for $20. $2
Ooh,
a DVD.
that's cheap.
And I got an autographed Harley race painting for $40.
Ah, isn't he dead?
Yeah, he is dead. So it was
Yeah,
signed.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I hope it's not newly signed. Yeah.
I mean, they had so much stuff. It was absolutely amazing. It was a fun time, and the cool thing was you didn't have to pay until like the whole thing was over. It was only 2.5 hours long. I was sharing
Okay.
the video on my Facebook a few times. Um, so if you do want to join, if you're interested in joining next Thursday night, it's going to be at 7 p.m. All you type in is High Spots Superstore, and there is where you can place your buys and your bids because they had auctions as well. And they also had a reverse auction, which was really interesting. I'd never heard of a reverse auction.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. The lowest sum that nobody else had bid,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to. Yeah.
So that was really cool. They're gonna do it for 2 more weeks. The video is also on, like the streaming was also on YouTube, but if you were going to buy stuff, it had to be on Facebook.
Okay.
So, and of course, if you did get stuff that totaled $60 or more, you got free shipping. So I'm getting free shipping on that. So, yay me. But no, check it out. It was really cool. Just type in High Spot Superstore on Facebook, hit the like button, and then join them next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. They're going to have much more items. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the reason I wanted to combine that, Fro, is because it was announced earlier this week that A&E is going to broadcast a brand new series looking for WWE treasures. And guess who gets to be the stars of the show? Well, actually,
The star host. Let's see. Who's the worst they could have ever hired? The Bella Twins.
Good guess, but no.
Okay.
It is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
So the Bella Twins just.
I'm gonna read part of this press release because it was about a bunch of new shows and renewals that A&E made. But about this show, the network being A&E is also expanding its partnership with WWE Studios for the new series, The Quest for Lost WWE Treasures, which joins the previously announced Green Light of 5 biography specials, which we talked about a while back. Just to remind everyone again, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Booker T, Steve Austin, and Shawn Michaels are the 5. So basically what it is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, they're going to go around the country, and they're going to go to these people's houses, and they're going to search for these apparent lost items, that may be gone away forever, and they're going to try and buy them from the person. It's sort of like American Pickers, but for wrestling.
Okay.
I'm going to give it at least the first couple episodes. I want to see how it goes.
Cool.
Let's see, other news that we can discuss. The ratings came in again on the Wednesday Night Wars, and once again, AEW was the victor. Audience-wise, AEW actually both shows went up this week. AEW had 732,000 viewers, NXT had 663,000 viewers, but the key demographic, 18 to 49, AEW with a .28, NXT with a .18. So AEW, that's the key demographic, is that 18 to 49 range. They have been winning that for a long, long time. And honestly, I thought AEW had a fantastic show Wednesday night. I don't know. I don't know if you'd seen it or not, but
Oh yeah. No, I thought it was freaking amazing. I think they beat everything else that I watched this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Have you watched Impact?
I didn't watch this week because I did another recording about wrestling and COVID-19, which you guys can download on this feed right now of that wrestling show. You guys can check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get a chance to watch it this week. How was it?
I thought it was very good. I think they are getting better. I think they are working around the COVID-19 stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard for every wrestling company.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we talked about in that special that we did was how, places like AEW, Ring of Honor, MLW, Impact, they're paying for these wrestlers during this time, which they don't have to do, but the fact they're doing it is fan-freaking-tastic. So, I do applaud them for that. And speaking of COVID-19, because AEW was live this week, it was the first live show in almost 2 months. And I read a few minutes ago, they had done they did the tests on everybody that was in Jacksonville. Everybody came back negative.
Good.
So that is a good sign right there. And next week's Dynamite is taped. It's already in the can, so we don't have to worry about, are they going to get sick this week? Because, well, they already filmed it, so we'll have to see how it turns out next week.
So how much did they film at the AEW show? Did they film a lot?
Well, they did next week's Dynamite, and probably the next 2 episodes of Dark.
Okay.
That's probably what I'm going to guess. And they did have people in the audience, but it wasn't a lot, so it really didn't hurt, watching the product. So, all right, Fro, I'm going to ask you this, because this might have been the most fun thing I've seen all week in wrestling. Did you watch Dark Side of the Ring?
No, I did not.
God.
I did not.
This might have been the best one ever.
Oh. I need to see it, I guess.
So, well, there's one line that I do have to say while I'm talking about it briefly. So, the episode was about Herb Abrams, who used to run the UWF in the early 90s. I had heard about the promotion. I heard a little bit about the guy, but I didn't know too much. So, whatever was going to come, I was going to learn for the first time. 3rd most viewed episode ever. Ever in the show. But, Fro, there was one line. And I do want everyone to watch this, because I thought this was fascinating. But there was one line. I'm never going to forget this as long as I live. You know how people say stuff in life, and it's like, wow, I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. You get that feeling time to time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was one of those times. So I'm watching this with my dad, and, he's learning this too. He just came, joined me. They talk about Herb Abrams' death. Because when he died, allegedly, He was butt naked, but his cowboy boots. He had Vaseline all over him, had cocaine with him. B. Brian Blair had one of the greatest lines I've ever heard in my life. I sort of want this to become a t-shirt. B. Brian Blair said, and I quote, he, referring to Herb Abrams, he died doing what he loved. Cocaine and hookers. I'm like, yes! Greatest freaking line ever. That needs to be a t-shirt. I would buy that shirt in a heartbeat. So, B. Brian Blair, if you're listening, please try to get that marketed into a t-shirt, because I'd buy like 5 shirts saying that. Oh my! But you do have to watch it, bro. I know.
Oh, I will watch it.
It's on YouTube now, so check it out. They have 2 episodes to go for this season. This coming week is the Road Warriors, and then the season finale is Owen Hart, and Martha Hart is involved in it. So I'll probably be making fun of Martha Hart in about 2 weeks. One final piece of business, and then we're going to get into our list. Remember, we had a pay-per-view, AEW pay-per-view in November. Not the Survivor Series, but Full Gear. And we had the Kenny Omega Jon Moxley match, which our fans voted the match of the year for 2019.
Right.
Well, they got into a bit of a problem. So, I'm going to break this down to the best of my ability. Former WCW announcer Chris Cruz filed a complaint to the Maryland State Athletic Commission way back in November for this match, because there was blood. I think both men were bleeding in that match, if I remember correctly. So he had filed a complaint saying that intentional blood was used in the match, because in Maryland, intentional blood isn't allowed in pro wrestling matches. So they did an investigation. They came out with their results. AEW has been fined $10,000 by the Maryland State Athletic Commission for blood in that match. AEW has 30 days to pay the fine, and if they don't, and they could have issues getting regulated there in the future if other incidents occur. If they don't pay the fine, they're not going to be allowed to have shows in Maryland anymore. In the ruling, the commission stated the following, and I'm going to read this quote. The commission acknowledges that while AEW took precautions to reduce the potential for injury to both competitors by using materials in certain instances to simulate injury and merely give the appearance of bleeding, blood was introduced into the ring in other instances during this professional wrestling match through the deliberate and repeated actions of the 2 referenced wrestlers by AEW. So, first off, are you surprised that this happened? And
yes.
Number 2, how do you feel about this?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Should Chris Cruz should he have let this go? Should he have let this be?
Probably.
I mean, I'm with you. I think he should have let this go, but we got to remember, at the same time, there are those people who just, they're sort of in that old school mentality, you got to follow the rules and all that. Plus, if you watch that match, and maybe I'll watch that match again, it's not like they lost an artery or anything. So, I don't know. I just am like, it wasn't the worst bleeding. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Alright. Let's get into this list. This is probably going to be our final week for a while to do these lists. Because, we got some pay-per-views coming up in the next few weeks. So I think we could take time away from doing lists. These are our 5 favorite storylines. My number 1 was a no-brainer. I'm going to say that right now. The other 4 I had to figure out in my mind the order. So, Fro, this was your idea, and I will let you start it off with your number 5.
This was so easy for me. Yeah, my number 5 is Brett Screwed Brett storyline. Yes, with the final match at was it Survivor Series 97?
97.
Ooh,
saw that on TV.
And in an attempt, there was like this storyline on WWE with one of the. I just think the Screwjob storyline is one of the most known storylines of all storylines. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, it's one of those that, when you think about it, to a degree, sort of helped launch the Attitude Era. Because the Montreal Screwjob, if it doesn't happen, I have no idea what goes in the future. And then, that interview with Vince, like the following week, where he says the famous line, Brett screwed Brett.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn, this is getting real personal. So.
Yeah, no. So, the Montreal Screwjob is my number 5.
Brett screwed Brett.
I mean, that could probably be my number 1, but it's most known.
Yeah.
I had to have it on my list.
All right. My number 5 is, who is the third man in the NWO?
That's a good one.
This was such a big deal in 96 because you have Scott Hall coming in, and then like a few weeks later, Nash comes in, and they're like, we want a match against 3 of your best. And at the time, like, the storyline is like, oh, well, can't really get you that match. Sorry. They powerbomb Bischoff, and then the next night it's like, okay, well, we're going to do the match. It's going to be a 6-man tag. And it ends up, the WCW team ended up being Savage, Luger, and Sting. That's a good team right there. But then you go into, like, who's the third guy on the other team? Because it could have been anybody. And the way that they did it was so good. And then, because I was at the Nitro before that pay-per-view. I was at that Nitro. First and only WCW event I ever went to. So it's like, I wonder who it's going to be. And 11-year-old me, I've never said this until now. In the back of my mind, something weird came to me, and I'm like, I wonder what Hulk Hogan's doing. We haven't seen him in a while. Come next week on Nitro, Hulk Hogan is the third man. And then just the way it's set up was so perfect. You could not... I really don't think you could do something like that today, because everyone will know or would figure out, oh, well, it's this guy. And then, like, the stories came out where it was like, oh, well, Sting was originally going to be the third guy, which could have made sense. And then there was another story that I heard, like, oh, the British Bulldog's going to be the third guy. I highly doubt that would have been true. Hogan just made the best sense. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have right there the birth of the NWO, and they go on to have this amazing run of over a year. And in a way, it sort of helps the Sting character, because Sting ultimately becomes this heroic figure of mystery where he doesn't say a word for a year, which I think is another great storyline. I wish I could put that in my top 5. It just missed it, but that was a great storyline. But I think trying to think who that third guy was is a great storyline, and one that kept everyone's attention, even if you weren't a WCW guy.
Mm.
All right, you're number 4.
Yeah, so not every storyline has to be believable or even, let's see, realistic to be on my list,
Right.
to say it that.
Okay.
So, my number 4, and this is going to bother you, I'm probably sure that you disagree with this, but Vince McMahon searches for his illegitimate son. I love that storyline. It is one of my favorite storylines of all time.
Actually, I'm not bothered by that.
Okay.
Like, when he got blown up and he died...
Oh, so funny.
Which was really good.
I loved it. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And then after the Benoit thing, you had to change it up.
Yeah.
And then the reveal of, like, Vince, you have an illegitimate son.
And it's Hornswoggle.
But you know what the funny part was? Bro, there's 2 things about that storyline that I remember, that I absolutely loved.
Mm-hmm.
The first part was, like, Vince trying to figure out who it was. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a Saturday night's main event where Stone Cold comes out and he's like, Dad, I missed you. I love you. And I'm like, oh, that would have been hilarious. I knew it wasn't going to be, but that was just a funny bit.
Yeah, and then the storyline with Finlay and as the real father as of Hornswoggle that led to the feud with JBL
But
at WrestleMania 24. I just loved it. It's goofy and it is very goofy. But yeah.
But the reveal was the best part. Because it's like they had every guy there. They even had Hacksaw Jim Duggan there. And I think Duggan might be as old or older than Vince. Let me check real quick to be sure. Because we could be going into uncharted territory. Okay. Duggan is about 9 years younger than Vince. So, never mind. I'm not even going to entertain that thought. So anyway, so the person who was doing this broke it down in the clues. And one of, like, I forgot what one of the early clues was. It was something like, your child is not extreme, or something like that. So, all the ECW guys leave, except for the Sandman.
Right.
And the Sandman is drunk, and he's there until, like, the end, when he should have left, like, 5 minutes ago.
And this is one of the first storylines I remember when I came into wrestling.
And then, like, the last clue was, like, he likes to play games. And,
Right.
and they're like, it's Hunter? And then he goes into, like, oh, he likes to play tiddlywinks, shoots and ladders? Your son is Hornswoggle. And he gets this big pop. Because, let me tell you, because I think most of us knew who it was originally going to be.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to be Mr. Kennedy.
It was.
But
he got fired.
As much as Mr. Kennedy was entertaining,
yeah,
the Hornswoggle ending was actually better. And I'm going to say something that I've never really said before. Hornswoggle saved WWE in that time.
Oh, definitely.
If
it was so entertaining.
If it was not for him, I don't know how they survived. I'm not saying they would have gone out of business, but you know, that was such a rough patch for WWE that I don't know how they would have made it.
Definitely. So that's my number 4.
All right. Okay, my number 4. This is a toss-up. Okay, I had to figure this out. 4 through 2 were like the hardest parts for me.
Okay.
So my number 4 is Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, 2008.
Oh,
it is so good because it stems from when Shawn beats Ric Flair at WrestleMania. And Batista's upset because he thinks he should have been the one to do it. And then there was a match at the next pay-per-view where Jericho's the referee, and then something screwy happens, and then Jericho and Michaels have a match at the following pay-per-view, and then Jericho just becomes this cold-hearted individual. Basically, he based the character off of No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And it just got so good. And then what really got it for me was a 2-night period. At SummerSlam, Shawn is going to announce his retirement. His wife is there. And Jericho's like, no, this is not the way it's supposed to end. This is not the way it's going to end. And then Jericho's going to punch Shawn, but he accidentally punches his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next night on Raw, Jericho's like, I have no sympathy for what I did, punching his wife. And it's like, oh man, it's game on. And then Shawn comes back, he kicks Jericho's butt at Unforgiven, and then they have the blow-off match at No Mercy, which is in my top 5 ladder matches of all time. It is an unbelievably great ladder match. It was so good. I mean, for a day and age where storylines at best may go 2-3 months, this was like a 5-6 month storyline that was just very captivating.
My number 3 is going to be very controversial. I can already promise you that, because my number 3 is the Divas Revolution.
Okay. Give this one.
It is the summer of 2015, and Stephanie McMahon vowed to have the Women's Revolution in WWE.
Because she invented women's wrestling.
Right. And she welcomed Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. And 4 years later, the Women's Revolution has changed everything. I mean, 1 year later, when it was the roster split, it was led by the likes of Lynch, Banks, Charlotte, and Bayley. And now just look at what has come. It's like Banks and Charlotte has competed in the first Woman in the Hells match in 2016. Then they had their first Woman Battle Royal in 2018.
The main event of WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah, the first WrestleMania. So, yeah, the the women's division in WWE has soared since Stephanie introduced the women's revolution. So that's my number 3. And I know it's controversial because Bella twins, and that's why it's my number 3 as well, and why my number 2 is probably your number 1. But
while we're on the Bellas real quick, I wanted to bring this up because this week their autobiography came out. In the book, and I was thinking about you, Fro, because I was like, okay, I wonder how he's gonna think of this. Nikki Bella in the book said that when she was a teenager, she was raped twice. The first time was when she was 15 years old by a classmate in high school that she thought was a friend. And then the second time was when she was 16, when she was drugged hanging out with a college student and then ended up being raped. She wrote in the book, quote, "There is the horrible offense in the moment and then the shame and blame that follow and feel almost worse than the original pain. When something like this happens to you, you understand the blame the victim mentality, how easy it is to feel shame rather than anger, how easy it is to feel like you could have stopped it yourself."
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that is. We do make fun of them a lot.
Right.
Because they do deserve it, but here I feel bad for her.
Oh, definitely.
Especially on the second one. She got taken advantage of, but oh well. I not oh well, but
yeah.
You just hate to see something like that happen.
It's a little like we talked on another digital citizen. Look at me about the allegations about Biden and how it has been the death of the Me Too movement, without saying that the Me Too movement in itself was wrong, but it has proven that people are not willing to stand behind it when it is against people that you want to get nominated. People are like, it has been political instead of, yeah.
It's like basically 3-4 years ago, there would have been a tremendous uproar about it.
Oh, definitely.
Now
it's
like, eh.
Yeah. Anyway,
back to our list. Not that we're, burying this whole thing about rape. We just wanted to say that real quick. My number 3, Kane and The Undertaker.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is the beginning.
The brother storyline, yeah.
Yes, because 97, Undertaker is being forced to be managed by Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where he just can't take it anymore. So Paul Bearer tells this story on Raw where there was an accident that happened that The Undertaker was involved in, and that his younger brother his name was Kane, was burned in this fire that killed his parents and killed Kane. Later that night on that Raw, Undertaker goes to confront Paul Bearer, and if Paul Bearer's like, "He's alive! Kane is alive, Undertaker!" So for the next several months, it's like, okay, we now know, his brother is alive, but when is he gonna come? And then it all just leads into that first Hell in a Cell match. And, it's like if you watch it, you're not even thinking about Paul Bearer and Kane. And then when the light comes out and then the music plays, and here comes this giant man. And then Vince is like, it's gotta be Kane. And it's just so good. It's just how they're the same height. and he's as strong as the Undertaker, and he can do the same stuff. And then the story becomes Undertaker doesn't want to fight his brother. He doesn't want to do it, and it's months and months and months, and then it finally takes like until the Undertaker gets trapped in a casket. The casket is burned with him in it, for Undertaker to finally come back and challenge Kane to a match at WrestleMania, which I really think is an underrated match at WrestleMania.
Mm.
And then they have this, it's just a very good storyline. And then it's later revealed that Paul Bearer is Kane's dad, which means he's Undertaker's stepdad. And then eventually Kane and The Undertaker in the summer of '98 joined together. And it was just so good. It was so well done. That's one of the best stories WWE's ever done creatively.
Yeah, it's in my honorable mentions.
All right. What's your number 2?
My number 2, and what I'm going to guess is your number 1. This is my guess for your number 1. The only reason why it's my number 2 is because of the streak. Ended the way it ended, but it is my number 2. It is The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. It could be my number 1, but it is something I have a fonder memory of than the Undertaker streak. So it has been built with intrigue, with feuds with Undertaker at WrestleMania that has been 3 of the greatest matches of all time. Yeah. I mean, if we made a list of top of 5 matches of all time, 3 of them would be an Undertaker match.
I think
that is saying that's saying something.
I mean,
and yeah, and you cannot tell the story of WrestleMania without mentioning the historic streak, and
that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a few years ago when the streak was a thing, and I asked people, when did the streak become the streak?
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we pinpointed to 18 being, okay, now it's a thing. And I don't really think until it was like 21 where the thread really began with Randy Orton. And then it became, what's really cool about that storyline, bro, is it was a seasonal storyline. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this storyline can only happen during WrestleMania. If you do this any other time of the year, it makes no sense. So, you have all these guys doing it. And like you said, you have like 3 of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time happening in that period. And I think part of the storyline is also with the fans. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Because you get to a point where it's like, okay, is this the year it's going to happen? Is this the year it's going to happen? And that's one of the reasons why I think for a while the attendance at WrestleMania was really good, because you had fans coming, you had the big matches, but you also had that intrigue of, is this the year? Is this the year? And then there were some people who never wanted the streak to break, who never wanted it to happen. And I was one of those that was like, it has to end at some point. Someone has to do it. I just don't know what the It's one of those where it's like, how am I going to react if it ever happens?
It's the way he lost it, more than that he lost it for me.
And I think that's the best part, is when he finally lost, that whole arena went quiet. I just have that memory in my mind. The whole arena went quiet. I cried. I don't remember there ever being an announcement that Brock won the match. I honestly
No.
don't. And,
No.
And, bro, here's the thing. I've only seen that match once, and it was that night.
Yeah, me too. I have never seen it again. I just can't.
Well, part of it was because it wasn't that good of a match, but...
No, it's a terrible match.
It's not that good of a match, but, it's just like, it happens, and then you're like, oh my god, he finally lost.
Right.
And it was just craziness. It was stunning. It was just absolutely stunning. Okay, my number 2, which I'm sure you're thinking is my number 1, but is not my number 1. And I had to think about this because if one of us don't say this angle, I'm getting a call from Jim probably tonight because he's listening to this episode in particular. Austin versus McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it's at number 2, that summer of '98 just grabbed you by the balls and did not let go. Every single thing that happened was so good. And what also made it good was you had side characters to the storyline. Like, you have Undertaker, you'd have Kane, Mankind, Rock, Boss Man, Triple H. You had all of these guys. And then also the part with, the higher power. And that was a big deal. Because I remember the day of, I was on the school bus, we were talking about, okay, who could it be? There were so many different things, so many different ideas. And somebody was like, well, it could be Vince McMahon. And I'm like, no, it couldn't be.
No.
And then that night, it's revealed to be Vince and the iconic line. And the only reason I have it at number 2 is because when I reveal my number 1, my number 1 did something with me that none of these other storylines did, which we'll explain in a little bit. So, with that said, Fro, what is your number 1 all-time favorite storyline?
Woo! Recency bias. Woo! Recency bias. Woo! Recency bias. My number 1 is the Summer of Punk. It is such a storyline that I don't know even where to start. When he finally won his emotional ROH championship, CM Punk immediately turned heel post-match.
Great.
And then he just dropped the company and revealed his intention to take the belt with him to WWE. And the angle was maybe unquestionable, the better booking of the two. But the WWE Summer of Punk brought wrestling mainstream to mainstream attention. And if it hadn't been for the Attitude Era, I would say the CM Punk Summer of Punk was one of the highest things talked about in media. It was everywhere. Like, I remember he promised to win the title at the eve of his contract expectation and like taking it from the company. And then we have Money in the Bank 2011. Like, Punk backs up weeks of talking by defeating John Superman Cena in a 5-star classic match.
And he did it clean in the ring.
Right. And Vince trying to attempt to stop him by calling in Alberto Del Rio to cash in the Money in the Bank. It is one of the best things I have ever seen. And he was in front of a huge crowd in Chicago that was so extremely with us. This is so much fun and one of the fucking best. I love the Summer of Punk.
So you're combining the two summers of punk, basically.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
That's very good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't expect you to go that route. Alright, so my number one. And I'm going to explain why this is my number one. There are certain times, whenever you're watching a TV show or a movie, or in this case, wrestling, where when it grabs you by the heart, and it pulls all the strings of emotion, and it won't let go. It is captivating. In 2010, Kevin Steen and El Generico in Ring of Honor did that for me.
Ah, wow. Because, a non-WWE thing. Mm-hmm,
because
that's cool.
They were tag team partners. They were tag team champions. They were best friends. And the story really begins at Final Battle 2009.
Mm-hmm.
When after they lose a match, Kevin Steen betrays El Generico, beats him up.
Kevin Steen! Oh,
so
not this.
Then, for the next several months, El Generico does not want to fight him. He does not want to fight him. And then eventually they do. At Death Before Dishonor. In a very good match.
Mm-hmm.
Which Kevin Steen actually wins the match. But it gets better. And better. And better. They have these different matches. At one point, El Generico loses his mask. His mask is kidnapped, basically, by Kevin Steen and Steve Corino. And this is another thing. There were not many people used in this storyline. And then they culminate this year-long rivalry, probably the greatest year-long rivalry I've ever seen, with Final Battle 2010, a fight without honor, where if El Generico loses, he loses the mask. If Kevin Steen loses, he's out of Ring of Honor. And they have one of the damnedest fights you'd ever would see in your life. And it just had you right there. It grabbed you by the balls and didn't let go. And just the way Generico won that match was just the perfect ending. The crowd in New York went crazy. It was just perfect. I've never seen a rivalry like that before or since. The closest may be Gargano and Ciampa, but it didn't have that emotional feeling like Generico and Steen did. It was that great.
Yeah, and it proves that Kevin Owens, I'm just going to call him Kevin Owens because that's easier. It just proves that what they're doing in WWE with Kevin Owens is so underrated. Like, he is so underused in WWE that it's not even funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. Well, why don't we mention some of our honorable mentions real quick?
I have a dishonorable mention.
Okay, I want to hear the dishonorable first.
But I will take it a little later. Okay. I just found out that I think we have mentioned some that is on everybody's list, but Goldberg's undefeated streak is in my top 10 at least. Daniel Bryan finally makes it storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But Batista breaking from Evolution, I thought was a very good storyline. One of my favorite storylines with Batista. maybe my only storyline that I liked with Batista, to be honest. Do you have any?
The Nexus invasion.
Yeah.
That first.
I almost had it on my list, but I couldn't bring me to have two lists with CM Punk in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. That was a great storyline.
Yeah, with Elizabeth.
Hogan and Warrior.
And Hogan and Andre as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Trying to think. The Sting, like I mentioned earlier, Sting, being the quiet vigilante.
Yeah.
That was a great storyline.
The New World Order, of course.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think what else, because there's so many.
Steve Austin versus The Rock.
No. Oh, you know what's a really good one?
I really liked it.
I'm gonna give one that's out of left field. Jerry Lawler versus Austin Idol and Tommy Rich. It's a very good storyline, which.
I'm very happy that you said that, because Jerry Lawler is my dishonorable mentions with Michael Cole. That is one of my least favorite storylines of all time.
I figured.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Time to do predictions, because I have to go soon.
Yes. Money in the Bank is this Sunday. So we're going to go through each match. We're going to make our picks. And we're going to start off with the Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The New Day will defend the belts against Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik of the Lucha House Party, The Miz and John Morrison, and the Forgotten Sons.
I'm going with the Forgotten Sons. Sorry?
I sort of want to go there, but New Day just won the belts back.
Yeah, I know, but they don't need it.
I know, they don't. Oh,
come on.
I'll go. I'm gonna say New Day just for a little bit longer.
Okay.
All right. Bayley defends the SmackDown Women's title against Tamina. 1, 2, 3. Bayley.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Yep. No-brainer. If Tamina wins that, I will actually be disappointed.
Oh, I'll be heartbroken.
Yeah. She's not a good wrestler.
WWE Championship, Drew McIntyre defends against Seth Rollins.
Yeah, you can take this to the bank, no pun intended, but he will not lose his first match.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. Drew should retain that one.
Yeah.
All right, now this next one...
Even though it's actually one of the matches I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a good match. Now, this next match is a very interesting match. Braun Strowman defending the Universal title against Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a title change here.
Me too.
I really could.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Bray wins it back. Because as much as I like Braun, he doesn't really need it.
He doesn't. No, I'm going to stick with Braun.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, here we go. We have to explain this to everyone.
Do it.
Yeah, we do. So
because it's so convoluted.
So we have 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches that are going to take place. Men and women. It'll be at Titan Towers in Stamford, Connecticut. Both matches will be going at the same time. So all 12 competitors are going to be running around Titan Towers trying to get to the roof of the building and then try to grab the briefcase to become, respectively, Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank.
It would be very funny if a man comes up first and take the woman's title, or the other way around.
There's so many things I want out of this match.
I really want that, because I want her to take the. Yeah, I will say it when it comes to.
All right.
Who's it this?
Well,
I want the man to take the man's Money in the Bank. That would be so funny.
Well, let's start with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Okay.
Carmella, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Asuka, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans.
Let's see. Who is it not? Say that one more time, please. A little
Carmella.
Less fast. Yeah, Carmella will not take it.
Yeah, she's already won it.
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler.
No, she doesn't need it.
Nia Jax.
No.
Asuka.
Yeah, I could take it, actually. Yeah.
Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I could also not take it.
Lacey Evans.
Oh, yeah. It's Oscar or Lacey. Oscar or Lacey. I will go with Oscar, I guess.
See, this is where I'm having my problem here. Because if one person from one brand wins, then the other has to come from the opposing brand.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my mind, I'm going to go with Lacey Evans.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said,
I
it
would
will.
love to see Asuka win. I would love to, but it's not going to happen.
Like I said, I think it will be Lacey or Oscar.
Right.
So I'm happy with that.
And then there is the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah, and I'm still going to kind of ha. It will be the man herself that takes it, but that would be funny though.
You'd have a lot of people upset about that.
Yeah, but
so I'll run down each contender. You tell me who you think will take it. Otis.
No.
Aleister Black.
Yeah, could be.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, could be.
Rey Mysterio.
No.
AJ Styles.
Yeah, could be.
Baron Corbin.
Could be. Ooh, 4 that could be.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Here's my thing.
Who needs it most?
Bryan.
Aleister Black. I'm going to go with Aleister.
Bryan and Corbin have already had it. They don't need it.
Yeah.
So that eliminates them. As much as it would be cool to see Rey win it, he doesn't need it. So it comes down to Otis, Aleister Black, and AJ Styles. This is where I have my biggest problem. Because those 3 deserve it. Otis has been the most over person in WWE in the last 6 months.
Oh, definitely.
Aleister Black has gained a lot of momentum on Raw. And he deserves it, because he's very good.
He is, yeah.
AJ Styles would be a great...
He doesn't need
heel.
it, though.
Yeah, he'd be a great heel Money in the Bank holder after what happened to him at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I still doesn't feel like he needs it.
I know. I'm gonna say Aleister Black.
You're going to agree with me.
Although
wow.
I think AJ could take it, but I wouldn't be upset if he did. So I'm gonna say Black wins, but if AJ wins, I won't be angry.
Cool.
All right. Well, on that note, that's going to do it for this week. So we're going to get into the plugs and then tell you what you guys should check out. If you have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Follow the show on Twitter @WrestlingShow11. Follow the show on Instagram. It is That Wrestling Show. Join our Facebook group, That Wrestling Show fan group. You type that in the search bar and you are right there. Join us, or if you're interested in pledging on Patreon, patreon.com/That Wrestling Show. Up right now, Fro watches the latest episode of his. He watches episode 1 of Tiger King.
Yeah.
So, Fro, what happened on Another Digital Citizen this week?
You should know that better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
played
Fro,
Friend Super Showdown?
yeah,
Was it that we call it? Yeah.
Where I was the host of this,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to see who knows the other better.
Yeah, me know Luke's better, or Luke knows me better.
Yep.
I'm not super surprised by the outcome.
Right. It was very close. I knew it was going to be close.
It was close, yeah. We will not tell you.
Yeah.
Go listen to it.
Go listen to it.
It's one of the best episodes we ever had. And that's only because of Bill's amazing questions.
You folks have no idea how hard it was to find these questions.
Luke said he wants to do it with us too, going against each other.
No, I don't ever.
All
right.
That would be fun.
No, it wouldn't.
No?
No.
No?
All right.
You and me against each other?
No.
Okay.
All right. Podcast you should check out. Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn. They take you through the world of retro wrestling that no other podcast does. This week, in a fresh perspective, they talk about Howard Finkel. Plus, it is week 3 of the Royal Rankings of the greatest tag team champions of all time in the WWF. Plus, they review an episode of Maple Leaf Wrestling from October 1988.
I'm going to guess that this is from Canada.
Yes. Also, because we are friends of the show, if you sign up right now, if you do the $5 pledge on their Patreon right now, you can get the 1990 Royal Rumble review.
Mm.
And this is one of my favorite shows, actually, the 90 Rumble. I love that show tremendously. I started a little bit yesterday. I'm going to listen to the rest of it this weekend. I can't wait to hear the rest of the review. Now, if you like your podcasts hosted by one individual, let us recommend to you...
Greetings from Allentown.
That is with your host, P.W. Peter Winston. He watches one episode of professional wrestling each week in his own unique way. This week, he watches an episode of WCW Worldwide from February 2nd, 1991. Plus, as a special bonus, he did a live Greetings from Allentown where they watched the 1990 Intercontinental Title Tournament. So that is Greetings from Allentown. And check out The Road Home from Wrestling with Drusifer Jones. This week, they interview Midwest wrestling star Crash Jackson. Check that out.
Crash Jackson.
Yes.
That is an awesome name.
Check out The Road Home from Wrestling. Now, if you're looking for non-wrestling podcasts, check out the Best Pick Movie Podcast with John, Tom, and Jess. They watch every Academy Award-winning Best Picture winner in no particular order, and they give their opinion on if the Academy got it right. This week, they discuss the Best Picture winner of 1941, How Green Was My Valley. And I'm
Nice.
sure you're wondering what it was up against.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, because I'm going to say something very controversial after I read this list. The other nominees were Blossoms in the Dust,
Haven't seen it.
Citizen Kane.
Whoa! Against Citizen Kane and Citizen Kane didn't win?
Nope.
Wow.
Here comes Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
Hold Back the Dawn.
The
Little Foxes.
Ooh, good one.
The Maltese Falcon.
Oh, that's an amazing movie.
One Foot in Heaven. Sergeant York. And Suspicion.
Well, this is not going to be controversial, but I think Citizen Kane should take it.
Well, here comes my most controversial statement I'm going to make maybe all year. I think the Academy got it right. And I'm going to say why. Because for me, because I've seen Citizen Kane, and I do like it. It is a good movie. But for me, it came down to how I felt watching the movie the first time. When I saw Citizen Kane the first time, I was like, yeah. Second time around, I really liked it. With How Green Was My Valley, I watched it, and I loved it right away. So that's why I think they got it right. Not saying that Citizen Kane didn't deserve it, but I think they did get the right one. But that's just me. Also, check out Unspooled with Paul and Amy. They watch each movie from AFI's list of the 100 greatest movies of all time, the 2007 list. This week, they discuss Goodfellas.
One of my favorite mafia movies of all time.
A very good movie. Also, check out Shark's Pond, a South Park podcast where I review each and every South Park episode. This week, I discuss 2 days before the day after tomorrow.
I love that movie.
Which is today. And finally, check out Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast with myself and Jim Boy Star, where we watch each and every Royal Rumble match. This week, we discuss the 2005 Royal Rumble match. All right. Next week, we're going to review the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, plus we're going to talk about other wrestling news and so much more. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of That Wrestling Show. For all you moms out there, have a happy Mother's Day, and join us next week for another episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always,
I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.
That actually sounds good. Wrestle on.
Wrestle on.